What's up, everybody? It's Friday. It's the beginning of year 10. It's the RDL show. Ryan D. Leaf here, Sky, Jonathan, and Charlie will be joining us in a few minutes. But we're a month in, figuring things out. We decided we're going to do a little question of the day every day to kind of start some conversations about what's going on. Question for today for everybody, and we'll get to it at the end with a little poll. Would you be okay with your team traded for Deshaun Watson given all of the recent baggage that has ensued over the last couple months? Not only the sexual assault allegations, but also his demand to be traded. What's this to stop him from not having a good year in your next stop and wanting to jump ship and go someplace else again, dealing with adversity, overcoming it, being a leader. So that's the poll question for today. Answer it, talk amongst yourselves during the hour, and we'll get to it towards the end. My open today is something I kind of alluded to at the end of the show on Wednesday. My 9 years of sobriety were yesterday, and I was talking with a friend of mine about March 31st. And I didn't really mention this on the show on Wednesday, but that was the day that I was arrested for the final time, placed in handcuffs in front of my father and my brother, and taking me to prison, essentially, for the next 32 months of my life. And I remember waking up on April 1st that morning and not knowing what was next, what that looked like. I wanted to be dead is what I wanted to be. And, after I stayed in there for a little while, all I could think about still was, I just need to get out of here. I need to get as many pills as I can. And I just need to roll until the wheels fall off. There was just literally no hope, right? That's all I could see. Luckily for me, I didn't get out. The state of Texas placed another warrant on me that was exceedingly expensive in terms of bond. And so I went nowhere until I was sentenced. And once I was sentenced, I was warehoused and placed in a prison. And for the next 32 months, I did nothing. Well, at least for the next 26 or 28 months, I did nothing but sit on my ass, get fat, got angrier, got more self-loathing. When I travel around the country, I talk to people a lot about how I was a drug addict long before I ever took a drug. Okay? And in that, I mean, I was always fearful. I was always judgmental. I was always narcissistic. All these things preceded any drug use. The drug use for me is just a symptom. It's a symptom to the larger problem, which is around mental health and understanding what that looks like. And of course, you're never going to address that in prison. It's probably the worst possible place you can. But luckily for me, about 26 months in, my roommate, who was an Afghan Iraqi war veteran, had a come to Jesus talk with me. He felt comfortable enough to confront me, I guess, at that moment. And he said that I didn't understand the value that I had, not only for the men in there, but for when I got out. Because Ryan, you're going to get out at some point. He had served his entire life, and he was 23 at the time, and he had done something I think a lot of people have done in their lives, and that's drive drunk. And he happened to kill somebody that night. And he had made amends for what he had done. He tried to better himself every single day. I never quite understood it. I thought, hey, how is this going to help us? Being different in here, we're losers. And he was not resolute with that for him. And so when he said, Ryan, you have value, not only for the men in here, but for when you get out, because you're going to get out at some point. I may not. And so he suggested we go down to the prison library and help prisoners who didn't know how to read learn how to read. And I can't tell you why I did it. I've had many of those come to Jesus moments in my life, from coaches, from family, from mentors, from people that truly cared about me that I just told to fuck off. But for whatever reason, maybe because the substance had been out of my system, long enough and I was a little more open-minded, I acquiesced and I went. I did it begrudgingly, as we were walking down the hallway, and I'm in my red jumpsuit, like metaphorically kicking rocks like a petulant child, thinking this is stupid. This isn't going to help me. Doesn't he know how important I am? The irony in all of that is the guy that's in a red jumpsuit in a prison hallway still thinks he's important, is the saddest commentary about that, more than anything. But I went in, and I went into a room where there were middle-aged men in a place where you're supposed to not show any kind of vulnerability at all, be extremely vulnerable, and tell me they couldn't read and they needed help. Could you help me? And I don't believe I had ever heard another man say those words. I need help. Can you help me? The cowboy culture of growing up in Montana, big, tough, strong, going into a locker room in the collegiate space as well as the NFL, you don't show vulnerability. It's about sucking it up for the team. So I don't think I'd ever heard another man say that. And so I started helping them. Two individuals in a very vulnerable and scary spot were helping one another. And, nothing would have changed if I just did it for that day, right? It's not going to change. It's like anything, you have to practice it. So I went back. And I went back a day after that, and a week had passed, then a month. And I realized I was sleeping better, and I was more personable, and I was talking to my family more. And what I had come to realize is that I was being of service for the first time in my life. And I used to think that when I played football on Saturdays or Sundays for people, that was me being of service to other people. And it certainly is not the case, and what a silly thing to think about. And I started doing that. And a few months later, I became the TA for the substance abuse counselor. And I knew that when I got out, that it was going to have to be at the foundation of who I was, or nothing was going to change. I wasn't going to be any different. I would have ended up right back there, or in the ground, most likely in the ground. And so when I walked out, December 3rd, 2014, the only two people there to pick me up were my mom and dad, right? I was 38 years old. I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. There were no job offers from the Disney Corporation or ESPN. Women weren't wrapped around the corner wanting to date me. I had a credit score of 500. I had nothing. I was going to live in my parents' basement on the couch till I could get my feet under me. And I had hope. I didn't have anything else, but I had hope. And the hope I developed came from what I did while I was in prison. I didn't realize it at the time. This was just, I was just going on pure faith through this process. Luckily for me, my parole officer agreed to let me go to treatment in about 90 days in, and that's where it started. So, the version of me today that you're seeing, 9 years sober on my own, talk show, is light years from what the guy looked like when he walked out of prison. That's day one. And everybody out there who's struggling or going through something, you're going to have a day one, and it's going to seem insurmountable. It's going to seem like you can't get there. There's no way I can get there. You don't have to worry about what day 3,288 looks like. That's not your job. Your job is to work on today. And this is not just wrapped around substance abuse or mental health. It's wrapped around anything, any lifestyle, any kind of life skill decisions you have to make. They're choices, period. And if you have to break it down to minute, that's just okay, right? No one's judging you on that, on how you cope and how you get through it, if you do it in a healthy, positive way. Just it won't. And we'll regroup tonight when we lay our heads down, and we'll try to go at it again tomorrow. Right? 9 years yesterday is a milestone, but the more important thing is 3,288 days. Today will be 3,289. That's all that matters. I just, we'll throw up a flare, every 365, just because that's what we do in our society with birthdays and things like that. So anybody out there who continues to struggle and understand, hey, I was you. I was so you, 3,288 days ago, day one. And maybe it was even worse where I was at. I was in a prison cell. I posted my mugshot yesterday. Boy, oh boy, I looked 10 years older, and like I had no idea what was about to happen, which is true. So appreciate you being along for the ride. Let's keep doing it. Let's enjoy year 10. It'll be the year of the RDL show in year 10. So welcome to the show, boys. Jonathan Rifkin, Sky Guasco, and Charlie Moss, the crew that is always ready to go. Speaking of today, we'll go back to the question of the day, right? Would you be okay if your team traded for Deshaun Watson given all of the baggage? That is the poll question for the day. Please talk amongst yourselves. And we're going to get to that at the end. We'll see what everybody kind of rounds up at. Did you guys hear about this? The Tiger Woods investigation into the car crash has seemingly a resolution or an update that the police came out and said, we have a result, but we will not be saying anything. Now, I understand some of this because of the Vanessa Bryant lawsuit with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department because of the things that they did during the process, and are afraid of similar things like that. That doesn't mean there's anything, negative in the report or anything. But if you're the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, guys, why do you even make this statement? Why do you say we have information, but fuck you, we're not telling you? I mean, I don't get that part of it. Just don't say anything. If you don't want anything to say, don't say anything.
You know why, Ryan, is because all these newspapers like the LA Times or the South, wherever, like the Rolling Hills Tribune, whatever is going to cover this story, they'll have people within the department that are going to leak them information anyways, because at the end of the day, they don't care if there's a resolution, that they're not going to announce a resolution. What's happening is people like you and me and everybody else is going to click on the headline, see the native advertising, and get money in their pocket. So it ends up for the police department, they know that the information, that the fact that they actually have a resolution is already out there. So why not just acknowledge the fact that there is a resolution, but they're not going to share it? Do
you know what the result has been?
But your question is, why are they even saying anything? The fact that they have a resolution, if they're not going to give us details, it's because they already know that whatever there's going to be leaks anyways. So why not get ahead of the curve? Because at the end of the day, these media organizations covering the story are just looking for clickbait to drive headlines and revenue anyways, and that's what this is.
I get that, but why does the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department even say anything? To cover their own ass?
I mean, there's probably a source out there that was going to spread this news anyways to these media publications. So you might as well I think it's cover their own ass.
You mean the results? Do you think somebody's leaked the results and that eventually will come out here in the next few days?
Yeah, I think that we'll eventually have an article dropped with some speculation of what happened at the very least.
Okay. I would have thought that it would have happened already, or if that's the case.
It could also be they're doing due diligence, because if they found something credible, it wasn't just he lost control of his vehicle. If there was something tangible behind that, the PGA's got to know. Mm-hmm. Tiger's agents got it. Like, there's a lot of due diligence that needs to be done before you and
I know Tiger and his agents, they have they have the blood toxicology report. They got it done at the hospital.
Right.
So,
But if something was found out that needs to be shared with the organizations that Tiger's associated with, the due diligence there is contact those organizations before the public finds out.
I had a buddy of mine. His first thought was that there was a malfunction with the vehicle, the Genesis, the vehicle, like a recall or something like that. And so this is being kept hush hush because Genesis is such a, it's a sponsor of a golf tournament. It's a car company and all this stuff. That was his first thought process.
It's a cover up by Hyundai.
That's not a bad point. Not a bad point.
I come from a health and wellness side of things, and having had surgery recently, and what he looked like on TV on Sunday, and his past issues with things like Ambien and stuff. So I jumped to conclusions with that type of thing, and it's certainly not. I don't have any evidence to back that up, and I don't want for 1 minute to put that out there, but I suppose I kind of did. That's where my mind goes to when anything kind of happens, which I assume, in my instance, like when I was arrested last year in May, everybody just probably assumed that like, oh, you relapsed, it's off and running again, and there's no context to it. When you don't have any context, people can draw from anything and make it about anything without any context. So that's what the sheriff's department kind of did. They just kind of walked into a room, pulled the plug or pulled the pin on a grenade, and said, "All right, fuckers, let's have some fun." That's essentially what they did, in my opinion.
But the interesting thing about this in relation to the Kobe situation is that the Kobe situation, like these particular Ventura County Police Department officers were taking, like it's different because the circumstance, like a helicopter crashed and people died. Like why the helicopter crashed, all that stuff, all the black box and all that nuanced information, like that helps us with some closure on the situation. Mm-hmm. This is Tiger Woods is still alive. He crashed his car. Why? And I think that why is there's no, the why for the Kobe situation is for closure. The why for Tiger Woods to figure out if it was self-inflicted or not, and if there's recourse following this crash. And so
is it problematic to you that we care? It's problematic to me.
It's problematic to me. I think it's problematic to me that the sheriff's department or the publications know that we care enough to invest our time in a non-starter, which is this headline, right? We have a resolution. You don't know. We're not going to tell you the resolution because guess what? You and I are now sitting here talking about the fact that they don't have a resolution and digging deep into the fact that they don't have a resolution and how it affects the socio-political environment surrounding Tiger Woods and how this content is consumed. So what the job that is being done is how we're partaking into it right now. We're giving in because they know we care. It's problematic that we're being taken advantage of because the content production organizations know that we care to the point where they can go and sell ad space for clickbait. Is it problematic to you? Are you mad that we care?
Yes. I care because I know how he can change lives, and I'm fearful of what it was. That's why I care. I don't care because I want to knock him off the pedestal, which I think is where a lot of people stand in all this. They want to hear the negativity aspect of why it happened.
Your perspective is humanistic, Ryan, because you have a perspective having gone through something that not a lot of people are able to build, right? So you look at it from a humanistic perspective. I know that people can change. I know that if there was something deeper going on with Tiger that enacted the situation as recourse, that this guy has the strength and he has the ability to go and turn his life around if that were the case. A lot of people, like you said, oh, Tiger effed up. He could be done for forever. Like that to them is like, that's the deal. For you, it's not that at all. So the reason that you're upset and the reason that the large number of consumers partaking in this product of the dissemination of what happened are upset are two very different things. And it's how do we get the masses to look at it from a humanistic perspective versus how most people.
Well, the first step is to subscribe to the RDL show, right? That is definitely the first part of this. And when you are subscribing to the RDL show, non sequitur here, make sure and sign up for Sunfair. All right, make sure and sign up for sunfair.com. Personalized, delivered, healthy meals. If you do that and you lose 75 pounds, you get the old Ryan Leaf sticker. Okay, that's for everybody. That's gonna be your winning.
Wait, where's my Ryan D. Leaf sticker?
Have you lost 75 pounds?
I'm 100.
You don't have to.
If you lose 7 pounds.
Here, let's put this in deal. All right, if you go sign up for sunfair.com right now, if you're in the LA or Phoenix area, and you do the fat burn diet for at least 7 days, I guarantee you'll lose 10 pounds. If you lose 10 pounds, you can get the Ryan Leaf 21-year-old sticker.
How many subscribers for that to be tattooed on your back?
2 million subscribers.
You guys heard it. He's at 2 million subscribers. Let's catch up. All right, folks. Sky, this is a cut today. 2 million subscribers.
Can someone write this down? So we don't.
If we ever get to 2 million subscribers, and these three here on the right are rolling in it because they're the ones that started all this from the grassroots, I will get that tattooed on me in some place on my body, as well as probably Gonzaga 2021 NCAA national champions. All right, back to our bill paying here. Sunfair, personalized, delivered, healthy meals every day to your doorstep. Go on to sunfair.com, sign up with all your information, click on Carl Farrow as your sales representative, and then also Ryan D. Leaf Show is where you heard about us. And you'll get 10% off your first delivery. Start now. You know, we're coming towards the end of this pandemic. It's looking like I'm probably going to get the vaccine this weekend. You know, the tunnel, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, and life may start to get back to normal and hustling and bustling about, but you have a chance to kind of put a solid habit in place, and that's your nutrition, and that's eating well. You know, we've seen the shift, you know, the difference in who I look like. I posted my picture from day 1 to day 3,288. That's from that first picture at the bottom is from July of 2020, and that picture at the top is from, I think, like March 15th, 2021. So there's a little bit of a difference. I don't know. I can't see it because, you know, I see myself every day. I don't know. You guys make the decision. Sounds like Sunfair works like a charm. Try it. Check it out. Sunfair.com. All right. So I asked my boys today whether they knew who Vin Baker was, and none of them did. So that's why our next topic is very about them. You know, college sports. One of them is in college right now, still at the University of Indiana, and he loves Michigan. And Michigan
University of Indiana.
Indiana University.
Indiana University and Michigan. I don't. You know, it's like CU, right? It's the University of Colorado.
Or
why is it
Oklahoma
CU?
University's like that too, but Indiana University isn't like that.
It's IU.
It's IU.
It's IU.
Always been IU.
It's like my.
Well, he doesn't even like IU, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm done. All right, I need to back myself up for a moment. Okay, I love all IU athletics. I love basketball. I love baseball. I love football. And listen, Trace Jackson Davis just announced he's coming back for a junior year. Very excited about that, Coach Woodson. But I'm also, the key word is also, a die-hard Michigan fan. When Michigan and Indiana play, yes, I root for Michigan. I've made that clear. But I'm still a huge, huge, huge IU athletics fan. So I just want that to be clear for everybody.
I like that. Good for you.
Thank you.
Glad you got that across. So speaking of college sports, all right, this one shocked me, all right? And we're going to kind of get into the discussion around mid-majors versus, you know, Power 5 conference teams when it comes to basketball and when it comes to football programs, right? The basketball side this week, we saw Shaka Smart up and leave a Big 12 champion Texas Longhorns in Austin, Texas, to take a job and go to Marquette. And Coach Beard from Texas Tech takes over at the University of Texas now. How does this happen? You know, I've talked about it for years in terms of why Texas isn't, you know, competitive in football anymore either, when they have the most money, the best facilities, a recruiting arm like nobody else's business. Clearly, we're finding out more and more over the last few years in terms of a lot of racist history, one revolving around the fight song that seemingly is going to give Steve Sarkisian and this team some problems over the next year. But the basketball side of all this, the best team in the country is Gonzaga in a town of what, you know, 100,000, Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
You know, in the middle of nowhere. Yet they recruit and have built a pipeline. And I would argue they are the best college basketball program collectively in the last decade. How does that happen? Mark Few has found nirvana. And I guarantee you there are a lot of coaches out there that if presented with the option to go to Gonzaga from here, probably would. So why is it different? I asked this not only to the audience, but my cohorts here. Why does something like Shaka Smart, did he just realize, hey, the expectations weren't as big at VCU, and when I did have a huge year, it was just like I was the second coming, and at Texas, I even win the Big 12 title, and people look at me like I'm like I'm somebody that they don't even know. And so now I go to a mid-major and compete again. Why are coaches continuing to do this, and why isn't this something that happens on the gridiron as well?
Well, Shaka Smart's situation is actually a little unique. He's definitely been a disappointment at Texas. They haven't really lived up to the hype, and his job was on the line this year. Yes, he saved them, and they won the Big 12, but getting upset by Abilene Christian definitely sparked that hotness in the seat again. So he was probably going to get fired after this next year, which is why he chose to leave on his own. He also had connections at Marquette before, I believe.
Okay, say that again. Say that. So he was on his way out anyway?
Yeah, he was definitely on his way out.
I don't think so. I disagree.
I definitely think so.
I disagree. They said they were bringing him back.
How is he on his way out after winning the Big 12 title?
He wasn't.
I think he was. I think he wasn't.
It's the same situation that happened.
Sky, you want to chime in and tie break this?
Oh man, I don't know that I could be a tiebreaker. I mean, it does seem suspect that he would be on the hot seat after winning the conference. But
okay, Charlie, I'm gonna let Charlie. I want to hear this again. Why?
Yeah.
Why was he on the hot seat after winning the Big 12 title?
Well, he was on the hot seat the whole season. He hadn't won an NCAA tournament game. He only made the NCAA tournament, I think, once in his 4 or 5 years. Yes, this year the team was better. They won the Big 12. But then getting upset by Abilene Christian with so much expectations going in March. They were picked to go to the Final Four from that region over Michigan, Alabama, Florida State, and they were the 3 seed.
I picked them. I had them in the Final Four.
Exactly. Yeah. The expectations were high. They just won the Big 12 tournament, and to lose to a super small program in your own state, are you kidding me? They were the only team in Texas who didn't advance in the first round. The expectations were so high, and Shaka Smart didn't live up to them. He went back to the cycle before where he couldn't get them to the place where he needed to go. He knew he was going to be on the hot seats. He's losing a lot of players this year with not a good recruiting class. So I think
I'm gonna rebuttal here, Charlie.
Okay.
Nice.
Virginia, Kansas, Kentucky didn't even make the tournament. Duke didn't make the tournament.
But that's different.
Hold on. Florida. I don't know. West Coast schools, doesn't matter. Insert West Coast school here. Boise State, Colorado State didn't even make the tournament. They should have made the tournament. They have a great coach. They were picked to finish second in the Mountain West. My point here is there's always coaches that perceptively underperform based on expectation, yet they're not canned. So I don't think that this situation is any different. What I think is that Marquette's a more attractive program. And that's the point of this conversation. Why is Marquette? It doesn't matter if he was going to be fired or not. It does not matter. And Sky, can you put Bill Powell's comment back on the screen? The Shaka Smart riding the wave, because this ties into my point here. I'll wait. Okay, I can do it. Okay.
I'm so itching to get back to this. I'll let you finish.
Hold on. This is a really big conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot here. Okay, so Bill says that Marquette is a quote name big fish small pond. It's not though. Look at the Big East: Villanova, Creighton, Xavier, Butler. These are all I just named 4 programs outside of Marquette that have all been national title contenders over the last 12 to 15 years. That makes the Big East a pretty equitable mid-major conference. So I don't think Marquette's a big fish in a small pond at all. Oh, also Cincinnati recruits in the area. Ohio State recruits in the area. Wisconsin recruits. They're competing in Nebraska. They're competing against Power 5 programs with better resources, and yet Marquette is an equitable program. Why? Because they consistently output talent. They're consistently competitive in a competitive conference. Ryan, you opened up against Gonzaga. Why is Gonzaga a great pipeline? Why have they built a phenomenal program at a mid-major level? Because they figured out the West Coast Conference isn't a good conference for basketball. They can go win a bunch of games and get to, be primed for the national stage. There's more value right now in college football or basketball being on the national stage than college football because of college football.
Why are they so good when the conference is so bad? You're going to win the conference, but that doesn't mean you're going to have success in the NCAA tournament.
It's opportunity cost. The opportunity of going to Gonzaga, when you go to Gonzaga that you are going to win your conference every single year. But that's only a small piece to this. Why does Gonzaga have Zach Collins, and why do they have Rui Hashimura? Like these guys that you never really hear of. It's because these players know that Gonzaga is going to win the conference and get them onto a national stage where they can then go perform in front of the national audience, NBA teams, NBA scouts, and get more exposure so then they can go on and move to the next level. It's the same thing with these Marquette. Marquette started with
doesn't that I mean, if you go play in the ACC, you're going to be on national TV all the time. You're going to be on a national platform, aren't you?
But if you're in the ACC and you're North Carolina, you're NC State, Dennis Smith Jr. was an anomaly at NC State because he was the guy who elevated them to success in the ACC. NC State is consistently a pretty good program, but they lose in the ACC tournament, don't make it to the national stage. It's not regular season. University of the Pacific is on the national stage in the regular season, right? So why isn't Damon Stoudemire, who's a former NBA player, now coach at Pacific, outputting guys to the NBA? Because they're not going to compete and they're not getting to the part that matters, which is March Madness. 60, what is it? 70 teams now with the playing games.
68.
No, but plus with the playing games.
Oh, it's 68 with the playing games.
Still 68. 68 teams make it to on a national stage in front of millions of eyeballs every single year, right? So John Moran at Murray State. John Moran's now one of the best players in the NBA, Rookie of the Year last year. Why would he have been that good if he didn't take Murray State on a run to the Sweet 16 last season? Probably, or 2 seasons ago? Probably not. So these mid-major schools get the exposure. These guys surprise onto the scene in March Madness, and then
all of this all said. So you're on the side that Shaka Smart wasn't going anywhere. This was a choice of his.
Correct. He left for a better.
Charlie,
better opportunity.
your quick rebuttal here.
Yes. All those coaches you named before in those programs. What you named Kentucky, Calipari. Calipari's had success in Kentucky. He's won national championships. All right. You named North Carolina. Roy Williams, 3-time national championship winner. Tom Izzo, Michigan State. All right, all these coaches you named have had success in March. Shaka Smart has not. With the level of talent.
At Virginia Tech, he did. He was amazing at Virginia Tech.
VCU.
VCU.
But that's the issue, though. VCU. He could not elevate. It's like Archie Miller. Archie Miller was good at Dayton. He got them to the Elite Eight. But in Indiana, the pond was too big. He couldn't do what he did at Dayton because.
But if Archie Miller won the Big Ten this year, he wouldn't have been fired.
Okay, but guess what? Shaka Smart, it didn't matter they won the Big 12.
Okay. I love both of your passion for this. Charlie, you're going to get the bat today. We're going to knock it out because you just won the Big 12. All right, you just won the Big 12 conference during a COVID year where things were down, and you chose to leave Texas. That is. Let's put it this way, Texas, fucked up. All right, so now. What does that mean? If it moves towards the football side of things, right, mid-majors, is that going to be a possibility, right? You watch the Boise State coach, Brian Harsin, just get elevated hugely to Auburn in a place where he's going to get to compete against some great teams, but let's be realistic. They're not, they're going to have to beat Alabama every year to get into the college football playoff conversation, and they just got rid of the guy that had done that more than anybody else. So it should be really interesting. What happens? Do we see this happening at the collegiate level in football? Only if the college football playoff expands? Because if you're not getting into the college football playoff and you're not part of the discussion, you're not going to have coaches that are at a higher level, run to a Boise State, or run to a mid-major in terms of football, run to Hawaii or Fresno or anywhere down in the South. Now, the American Conference, we're seeing some coaches stay put. We're seeing some coaches stay put, but we're also seeing those like, Josh Heupel jump ship and go with his athletic director from UCF to Tennessee. It's seemingly more and more the Power Five pays more there. The mid-majors in basketball, it's seemingly they can pay a little bit more money. So would you guys agree that the only way this opens up or happens to move forward on the basketball side, on the football side of things, is if we see an expansion in the college football playoff format?
Yes. And why those mid-majors in basketball, Ryan, can afford to keep those coaches and pay them more? Is
because they don't have football programs?
This is true. That does help. But they also get cuts on these nationally televised games, and the schools get these massive boosts for going and playing the tournament, so they're able to have a little bit of extra equity left over to invest in their head coaches. In football, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, insert team number 4 here, a rotating number 4, and it's the same story every single year. If you get Boise State on a national scale in a college football playoff, you get, I don't know, this year San Jose State or Coastal Carolina, whatever you want. How you insert mid-major here, Cincinnati, you put them on the national scale, it's also going to earn them a little bit more revenue where they and incentivize these coaches to stay. And that has a residual on the players too. If Cincinnati has an opportunity to win the American every year and make it to an expanded college football playoff, better athletes are going to want to go there because they're going to want to play the Power 5 schools, right? They want to prove themselves. So, I'm going to go to Cincinnati. We're going to win the American. We're going to make the college football playoff. We're going to play Oklahoma in the first round. And I'm going to work my ass off to beat them, right? Mm-hmm. It incentivizes the good athletes to stay. It incentivizes the recruits to go to these schools. It makes the product on the field better. It's just better for everybody. And that's what we're seeing in college basketball. We're seeing guys choose mid-major schools over Power 5 schools because the opportunity there for them to showcase their talent and to win big games. It's elevated. When San Francisco beat Virginia this year, that was one of the biggest upsets of the year. And how did it feel for those San Francisco athletes? It felt amazing. They just beat one of the top teams in the nation. So it adds a level of credibility to your program.
All righty. Let's go drink. We'll drink to that.
Nobody else has any room. Come on. This is discourse.
I like it very much. That's why we're gonna drink some Athletic Brew here to celebrate. Yeah. Jonathan Rifkin and for Charlie Moss. I think Charlie's the only co-host on the show that's actually no one else has gotten the bat on the show, I don't think, have they? I think we've given it to fans.
I would be shocked if Sky ever got the bat. I talk enough to where I'm going to eventually say something that's going to get me the bat.
Well, guess what, people? I know you've been waiting for the beard to talk.
Well,
he after we sell some athletic brews here, Sky's going to jump on and talk to us all about opening day in Major League Baseball. I'm sure all of you were just enthralled yesterday with it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this. Run out or go to athleticbrewing.com, sign up, get 10% off your first delivery of 2 6-packs. Today this is my last one. So Athletic Brew, I know you're watching the show. You need to send along some more. I love the light beer and of course the Run Wild. Run Wild is the one. Non-alcoholic IPAs, non-alcoholic brews. You get the refreshing, low calories and refreshment that you want in your beer without any of the Bad side effects, the aftertaste, the consequences. I am a alcoholic, therefore I can't drink. I know there's out there that can and do. This is a healthy alternative, that's all. And I know there's a bunch of people out there just like me. I know that because I posted a 9 years sober tweet yesterday and have had about 3 million interactions from people. So yes, we are all flawed human beings who want healthy alternatives. Athletic Brewing for me is it. It's a great. I haven't shotgunned one. I don't know what the point of that would be, but you guys asked me the other day whether that should happen or not. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it.
It's hard. It's hard to shotgun a craft beer. I'll just put that out there.
Well, let's just understand this. We drink it because it tastes so damn good. That's why we savor it. It's pointless to take it and just absorb it all in one hit. So, question of the day, which we're going to get to after our boy Sky here tells us all about opening day in Major League Baseball. Question of the day, would you be okay if your team traded for Deshaun Watson given all of the baggage? And I just don't mean the sexual assault charges that have come up almost in the 20s now, I believe, have filed cases, but also his response to not being a part of the coaching hire, the general management hire, and wanting out, saying he wanted to trade. What's that to stop him from doing the exact same thing when he gets to a new spot? We'll answer your questions and interact with you when we get to the end of the hour. But right now, I'm going to hand it over, put the man in the big box, and I want to hear about opening day. I know my Cubbies lost, and I know the Dodgers, which I follow because I'm here in LA, lost as well. So what did we get from opening day? How was the fan reaction? And what, is it depending on what states are allowing fans? Because I got to pick some games here to take my kiddo to this year.
Texas was the only state to have full capacity. Most other states were all the states.
Was it full? Was it full?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
They were allowing it to be, but it was not. They're opening it up to the state-regulated guidelines throughout the season. So I'm wondering if getting the bat talking about baseball might actually be a compliment, but we'll find out at the end. All right, Joe. So last year we had 60-game season. Dodgers take home the World Series. This year we are back to 162, longest season in professional sports. Go down the list here, a couple highlights. Cody Bellinger for those Dodgers had a funny situation. He hit a home run seemingly, went off the glove of the outfielder, and Justin Turner on first base had overrun second base, comes back to tag up. They cross paths. Cody Bellinger was actually called out on the play. Justin Turner eventually scored. Funny play there. Secondly, Miguel Cabrera hits his 350th home run as a Tiger, 488th of his career. He should get 500, assuming he stays healthy. And that was in a snow game in Cleveland, but he slid into second base because that one also just cleared the wall, and he thought it might have gone off the wall. Slides into second base on a home run. Only Hall of Famer Al Kaline of the Detroit Tigers has 300 or 50 plus more home runs. A couple exciting walk-offs here for the Philadelphia Phillies, Seattle Mariners, Milwaukee Brewers, and the Toronto Blue Jays. And then you had the Royals and the Rangers setting a Major League Baseball record with the most runs scored in the first inning, each team scoring 5 runs. So I'm going to go back here. Funny rule here with this Cody Bellinger situation. Basically, they both cross path. If you overrun a base runner, that runner that overrid them is out automatically. I think it's a funky rule. Maybe it could be kicked out, but it's a long time. Very rarely happens. Miguel Cabrera, long-time professional here and certainly a Hall of Famer. And with this excitement of the opening day with these walk-offs and Miggy getting his 350th and kind of the funkiness with the Dodgers and the uproar in LA kind of overnight with them winning the World Series and coming back and laying an egg the first night against the Rockies, they'll be fine moving forward. But it was an interesting opening day. Yes.
The Dodgers currently have the worst run differential in Major League Baseball.
They do.
Just like to point that out.
Count them out, ladies and gentlemen. Come October, Dodgers, I'm sure, will be last in the NL West. It was an exciting day for baseball fans. Last year, again, we didn't have fans in the stands. You had the pumped-in crowd. You had the cardboard cutouts, if you will. It took a about 2 months to get MLB going through the COVID situation. The Marlins, specifically the Nationals, the Phillies, those teams were devastated by COVID early on. There was another game canceled yesterday, another one today due to COVID, a rainout in Boston. So just good to get the blood flowing again for baseball fans around the country. And we're underway, and assuming we can keep going here with COVID and stay out of harm's way there throughout the league, they should get back to 162 game season, and hopefully we can have a full season here for baseball after just about a third of a season last year.
Major League Baseball, everybody's back. I'll start paying attention about August 25th.
And I think it's relative to non-necessarily not that you're a non-baseball fan, but non-basketball fans following college basketball all season. And come late February, it's time to pay attention, and everyone does.
I think it would be different. I think it would be different. I think it would be different if I knew I could go to the games. I really do. I think I'd. You can you can if you slide into that capacity. No, it's not going to be available to Dodgers fans out here like it's going to be everywhere else. So hopefully I can fly to Chicago once I get vaccinated here, spend it with my little brother, and go to some Cubs games this.
You could take me
summer
too, Ryan. I'll be there.
When are you getting there, Charlie?
I'll be back in Chicago early May.
You should be taking Ryan. He's coming to your city, bro.
What is
this?
All right.
Show him the ropes.
Hey.
Tell Randy I want freaking do the Sox and Cubbies play each other this year?
Yeah, they play each other every year.
Okay. Well, tell Randy that's the one he's got to hook up. Behind the Cubs bench.
The Ivy should be perfect in May too. That's great.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's at Wrigley or the Comiskey. Is it called Comiskey anymore?
Oh, guaranteed rate field.
Well, perfect. Now I want to go even more.
I will.
Baseball's back, ladies and gentlemen.
Baseball's back, baby. Baseball's back.
Bring up the bats everywhere.
My Cubbies are going to win it all. That was proven. That was. I figured that out yesterday. My Cubbies going to win it all. Always is. Major League Baseball All-Star Game moving out of Atlanta. Breaking news. Is that true, Bill Powell? Bill Powell's our breaking news expert.
Jeff Passan, MLB Network and Athletic MLB affiliate cover guy. He tweeted it right as we hit live on the show. The Georgia State just passed a controversial voting rights bill, and to protest it, the MLB has announced that they're moving the All-Star Game out of Atlanta unless something changes.
Awesome. The NBA, you remember, did this a few years back with when the All-Star Game was set to be in Charlotte,
right.
Because of their controversial bill on the docket about restrooms and trans LGBT and Q individuals, all of that, and they did a tremendous thing and got that kicked off the ballot. And the NBA came back there. So, hey, we've seen over the last year how impactful sports can be. In particular, women's basketball. They literally, Vote Warnock was the thing they said. They got a owner of one of their NBA teams kicked out of Congress by getting people to vote. I mean, that is awesome. Sue Bird, still my favorite. She's still got to come on the show. She was a big part of that, so I can't wait. All right, back to the poll question. The question of the day, everybody, all right? We'll get into some Q&A here with everybody. Question of the day, would you be okay if your team traded for Deshaun Watson given all of the baggage that is now at his feet? What do we have here, fellas, in terms of responses?
So Rob says no. Not sure. I think Rob's from your neck of the woods, right? Pacific Northwest. So I assume he's a Seahawks. I don't want to assume, but I assume he's a Seahawks fan. Let us know, Rob. I wouldn't take him in Seattle over Russell Wilson. So I agree.
I think all of us on here, if we were general managers for a team in the NFL, we're not doing that. right now, right? We're not until we have some resolution
Exactly.
around it. So I don't think there's a trade market for him right now. Do you? Do you think a fan base would be okay with this?
No, and I think there's two different mindsets here. There's either just the straight, like, in a vacuum, as they say, point blank question of, would you bring on Deshaun Watson regardless of your current quarterback situation or team? Would you just take him on with the baggage as a personal moral thing? And then maybe a second mindset would be, are you thinking of your team? And whoever your team is, are you willing to replace that quarterback or your situation with Deshaun Watson? Because the comments are kind of mixed in that a little bit. Some people are saying, no, because I have this quarterback and I trust him, so no thanks. But would they say maybe if they didn't like their quarterback as much? So I'm wondering what the mindsets are on this overall.
Okay, let's say you're Chicago.
Yeah.
Let's say you're Philadelphia. Let's say you're New York. Let's say you're Miami. Let's say you're a team that needs, say
Washington
you're Denver.
Football team.
Yeah, Washington football team. You say any of those. New England Patriots, right?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I said Philadelphia. If you are a fan of one of those teams, are you opening up the trade route with the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson right now? I would hope that your answer would be no until we have some resolution. If it was one accusation, okay. We're coming up on 20 accusations. And I've talked to a few people, men and women, about this, and there's been, a multitude of opinions of where this goes or what this looks like. So there needs to be I don't know where this is headed. The fact that there hasn't been any criminal investigation or criminal charges filed as of now leads me to believe that this is going to go into the settled. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if all of these are settled. The Sports Illustrated column with the pseudonym Mary, that one was incredibly disturbing because she's not on a suit. She just was speaking anonymously about her interactions with Deshaun Watson, and it seemingly keeps continuing to go down a rabbit hole in terms of you just never know. You just never know who our heroes or who our favorite players are, behind closed doors. We live in an Instagram world where you are shown what people want them to be, what people want you to see, period.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's rare when we do see people be vulnerable and truly transparent through this process. If these things are true and they play out in that fashion, how refreshing would it be if he stepped forward and said, I have to take an honest to God look in the mirror about my behavior, because I don't want to be this person, and I've behaved as such, and I want to change that. Instead, we've heard complete denial. I get it. You're protecting a brand, but it may not be around anymore when this is all said and done. And if I'm a team out there who needs a quarterback, he's not one that I'm looking to trade after.
Yeah, it's just way too cloudy right now. So until anything is different or resolved, the simple answer is no right now. That's just what it is.
Do we have a response out there? Is there a fan out there that would take him with baggage and all right now?
We got a yes. I don't know what team Max is a fan of, but he says, despite the situation, I believe Deshaun Watson would elevate my team.
So that's where my comment was coming from. It's like, if you're thinking about it as just as a football player and this clears, would you replace him? And you're taking that risk where you're bringing him in now, then there's that mindset. If the other one is where I think we all lay is we need more information, yada yada, then there's another way to think about it.
The NFL it's almost cut down the middle. It's around 55-45 in terms of viewership or fans from men to women, and from the interaction I've had, it's been really split and not necessarily down gender lines. So there's a very good chance, and if you're an NFL owner or general manager, and that, I don't know what you do in this. It's like politics. You put a poll in the field like we did today, and if you get something back in the realm of 50-50 as a PR part of that, most things are polarizing. Most things are 50-50 when they are that. So if something like that comes back, if the Philadelphia Eagle fan base is like, hey, if he can elevate our team, which we believe he can, and these charges aren't substantiated down the line, we're willing to take on that risk at the moment. Who knows? I've just said it before. If I'm a general manager, if I'm an owner of a team, I'm not willing to take on that risk right now. I would let things play out, and guess what? If Deshaun Watson is not a happy camper before this played out and it goes away, next offseason, he's going to be available again because he's not going to want to be in Houston. So, patience is a virtue right now, I believe, for any NFL team or any NFL fan base right now, thinking they need to run out and get a quarterback who's dealing with these serious allegations. All right. Let's finish the show here with any Q&A. Anything else that we had in terms of interaction today, fellas, that we want to answer before we get out of here and head off to the weekend?
I don't have. There hasn't been a ton of questions specifically just around what we've been discussing, but I'm curious, Ryan, to know your thoughts. We never talked about. So, tried for a while. All right, solid name. At least you gave it your shot. I don't know what you're referring to. It says I'm a Lions fan. We're going to trade for a QB. Is Goff? We never talked about this. Was Goff a decent trade for the Lions?
I don't know. I mean, they acquiesced to Stafford. They were going to get rid of him anyway. They got a quarterback that has played in multiple playoff games, been to a Super Bowl, had the pressure of being the number one overall draft pick. So, I don't see why not. They could have done much worse. We have no idea what Dan Campbell and that offense is going to look like under Jared Goff. We'll see. But if you're stacking them up in terms of the quarterback situations, I think you hit a home run when you knew you had to get rid of Matthew Stafford. I really do.
Did you guys see what Michael Brocker said when they got Matthew Stafford? He was like, "Oh, no. I'm so excited to finally play with a real quarterback." I think the next day Brockers got traded to the Lions.
He got traded to Detroit
with Goff.
Yeah.
So that's a little awkward in the clubhouse.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect ending. Michael Brockers, big fuck you on that one, wasn't it, buddy? Welcome to Detroit. All right, everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for being a part of it. Our first month down, like we said. We'll be back on Monday, noon to 1 Pacific. From Sky and Jonathan and Charlie, I'm Ryan Leaf. We'll see you soon.